The stone lid of the sarcophagus doesn't slide open this time. Instead, heavy hydraulic locks disengage, and a foot of reinforced steel hisses apart. You aren't in Kadinger Sanctum, and you aren't on the UAC Mars base. The air smells sterile, bleach and recirculated oxygen, not brimstone. You step up into a heavy containment cell at Site-19. The SPC Foundation believes they have secured a new Keter-class anomaly. They have logged your armor, your weapons, and your vitals. To them, you are a variable to be isolated. To you, they're just another obstacle between you and the demons you need to kill. Today, we're running a simulation. We're talking Doomslayer, armed with his full Eternal arsenal, and dropping him into a facility-wide containment breach. The question isn't whether the Foundation can hold him. The question is, can the man who killed hell itself survive the cold, clinical horrors of the SCP database? The alarms blare, the containment doors fail, the first test begins now. Section 1. Kinetic Threats. The Statue and the Shy Guy. The first door opens into a heavy containment zone, the floor streaked with a reddish-brown sludge that smells like blood and feces. Standing in the corner is SCP-173. The sculpture is motionless, painted with Krylon spray paint staring at the wall. You blink. In that fraction of a second, roughly 100 to 400 milliseconds, the object crosses 30 feet of distance. This is the first test of kinetics. SCP-173 moves at speeds exceeding 20 meters per second when unobserved, generating immense torque designed to snap the base of the skull. However, the Slayer's reaction times are not human. In Doom Eternal, the dash mechanic and the Chrono Strike rune imply the ability to perceive and move at velocities that dilate time relative to the observer. As 173 attempts to close the distance, the Slayer dashes. But let's assume the statue connects. 173 applies force to the neck. For a human, 1,000 newtons of force snaps the cervical vertebrae. But the Praetor suit is designed to withstand the crushing grip of a Titan and atmospheric re-entry impacts measuring in the gigajoules. SCP-173 is striking an object that effectively has the density of a collapsed star. The statue's concrete limbs would shatter against the Praetor Gorget before the armor even registered a stress fracture. The response is immediate. A blood punch delivers a supersonic shockwave of kinetic energy. SCP-173 is made of concrete and rebar. It possesses no anomalous durability, only anomalous speed. The impact reduces the sculpture to gravel and twisted wire instantly. Against a being that punches through blast doors, the statue is a minor nuisance. Tier grade S. Trivial. Moving deeper into the facility, the sound of weeping echoes through the ventilation. You turn a corner and see a pale, emaciated humanoid sitting against a bulkhead. SCP-096. You look at its face. The crying stops. 096 enters its rage state, scrambling to its feet and screaming with a jaw that opens 4 times wider than a human's. It charges. This is a clash of unstoppable forces. SCP-096 is known for its persistence. It will chase a target to the ends of the earth and can swim through the ocean floor to reach them. Its skeleton is incredibly dense, seemingly indestructible to modern firearms. But the Slayer does not use modern firearms. He wields the Crucible, a blade of pure argent energy that burns hotter than the surface of the sun, and the Super Shotgun, which delivers force capable of knocking back multi-ton demons. When 096 leaps, the Slayer doesn't retreat, he catches the creature. SCP-096's skeletal structure is durable, but the Slayer regularly dismembers barons of hell and tyrants, creatures with skin carbonized by hellfire and bones dense enough to support 50 tons of mass. The math here comes down to energy output. The Slayer exerts force capable of breaking chains that held titans. 096's regeneration is fast, but it relies on a physical form remaining intact. The Slayer rips the creature in half, then quarters, then fragments. The crucible cauterizes the wounds, preventing the biomass from reconnecting. 096 is not dead. It technically can't die, but it is incapacitated, reduced to twitching pieces that can no longer pursue. The Shy Guy has met the one thing angrier than itself. Tier grade S. Trivial. Section 2. Dimensional traps, the infinite store, and the old man. The facility walls dissolve into static. You blink, and the cold concrete is replaced by polished linoleum and towering racks of flat-pack furniture. You are in SCP-3008, the infinite IKEA. The lights buzz with a headache-inducing hum.
The store is now closed.
A voice drones. A faceless employee in a yellow polo shirt lumbers toward you, its limbs elongated and grotesque. To a civilian, this is a nightmare of endless wandering and starvation. To the Doomslayer, this is simply a resource farm. The staff are biological entities. In the Slayer's combat loop, biological entities are essentially piñatas filled with ammunition and health. The chainsaw mechanic is key here. Every time the Slayer runs low on shells for the super shotgun, he introduces a staff member to the teeth of his chainsaw. The infinite nature of the store solves the Slayer's only real logistical problem, ammo scarcity. He doesn't need to find an exit to survive. He is the exit. Stamina is non-existent as a limitation. The Slayer does not sleep, he does not eat, and he does not tire. The infinite size of the store is an annoyance, a walking simulator, but not a threat to his life. He chooses a direction and sprints. The aisles stretch forever, but the Slayer's momentum is unstoppable. He smashes through drywall partitions, vaults over displays, and turns the staff into a fine red mist. Eventually, the sheer kinetic force of his presence destabilizes the local reality. Or he simply punches a hole back into the Foundation's baseline dimension through sheer force of will. Tier grade A. Easy, moderate. The floor drops beneath you. The smell changes from Swedish meatballs to rotting meat and trench foot. A pool of black, corrosive, viscous liquid spreads across the tiles. SCP-106. The old man rises from the muck. He reaches out, his touch capable of corroding solid matter and sending victims to his pocket dimension. He grabs the Slayer's shoulder. SCP-106's corrosion is terrifying to modern materials, but the Praetor suit was forged in the fires of hell. It's treated to withstand pools of boiling acid in the necrovole and the corruptive atmosphere of the Dark Realm. The black mucus sizzles against the green armor, but it doesn't breach. 106 smiles and pulls the Slayer down into the floor, dragging him into the pocket dimension. This is 106's fatal mistake. The pocket dimension is a labyrinth designed to torture helpless victims, but the Slayer is most dangerous when he's cornered. Reminiscent of his time in the Kattinger Sanctum, the Slayer treats this dark realm as just another Slayer gate. 106 attempts to manipulate the architecture, shifting walls and floors to confuse his prey. The Slayer responds with the meat hook, latching onto the old man and pulling himself into close quarters. 106 is a predator of the weak. He has no defense against a being that rips demons apart with his bare hands. For the first time in its existence, the old man feels fear. The hunter becomes the prey. Realizing his control over the dimension means nothing against raw Argent Fury, 106 retreats, phasing through the wall to escape his own trap, ejecting the Slayer back into the facility just to get away from him. Tier grade A. winner. The Foundation Command watches the monitors in silence. Physical containment failed. Spatial banishment failed. The anomaly, the Slayer, is approaching the heavy containment center. They have no choice left. They authorize the release of the one creature that has never died. Section 3. The Unstoppable Force versus the Immovable Object, SCP-682. The blast doors to the acid containment vat buckle outward. Metal screams as it shears, and a massive reptilian snout pushes through the reinforced steel. SCP-682, the hard-to-destroy reptile, drags its rotting, regenerating bulk into the corridor. It roars, a sound that isn't just noise, but a psychic wave of pure hatred for all life. To the Slayer, this is familiar. It's just a cyber demon without the cybernetics. He racks the slide of the super shotgun. The metal hook launches, sinking into the reptile's thick hide, pulling the Slayer into the fray. The impact shakes the facility. The Slayer lands a blood punch directly on 682's snout, shattering bone and scales. 682 thrashes, its claws, capable of slicing through tank armor, raking across the Praetor suit. Sparks fly, but the Argent barrier holds. This is where the fight diverges from a standard demon encounter. When you shoot a Baron of Hell, it dies. When you shoot 682, it learns. The super shotgun blows a crater in the reptile's side, exposing ribs and organs. Seconds later, the flesh knits back together, calcifying into a thicker, denser carapace designed specifically to deflect buckshot. Here lies the core scientific conflict. Adaptation versus damage output. SCP-682's anomaly is reactive evolution. Whatever hurts it, it becomes immune to. The Doomslayer anomaly is scaling power. The stronger the enemy, the more violent he becomes. It's an equation with no solution. The Slayer switches to the rocket launcher, detonating a salvo of heat-seeking missiles. 682 is engulfed in fire, but emerges seconds later, its skin now secreting a fire-retardant mucus. The reptile snaps its jaws, catching the Slayer's arm. The pressure is immense, enough to crush a diamond, but the Slayer pries the jaws open with sheer brute strength, treating the Leviathan like a misbehaving dog. It's time for the nuclear option. The Slayer holsters his conventional weapons and draws the BFG 9000. The weapon hums with green argent energy, the air ionizing around the barrel. The Foundation sensors spike off the charts. This weapon outputs energy readings similar to a localized singularity. He pulls the trigger. A sphere of green plasma, hotter than a star's core, screams down the hallway. It connects with 682. The result is catastrophic. The reptile isn't just burned, it is boiled on a cellular level. The Argent tendrils lash out, targeting the creature's organic matter and detonating it. 682 is reduced to a smoking pile of charred biomass and bone fragments. Silence falls over the corridor. For a moment, it seems over, but then the charred meat begins to bubble. A new eye opens in the gore. 682 begins to reform, and this time, its scales pulse with a green hue. It has adapted to Argent energy. The Slayer steps forward, drawing the crucible blade. He cuts the reforming beast down again and again and again. The Slayer does not tire, and 682 does not die. This is a stalemate. The Slayer has the offensive output to kill 682 indefinitely, reducing it to a non-functional state over and over. He can rip and tear until the end of time. But 682 cannot be permanently erased from existence by physical damage. Conversely, 682 lacks the offensive capability to pierce the Praetor suit or kill the Slayer. It is an eternal dance of violence, an unstoppable force grinding against an immovable object. They would fight here until the heat death of the universe, ignoring everything else around them. The Foundation realizes that while the Slayer's distracted, they can recontain the sector. It's not a win, but it's not a loss. Physical force has failed to yield a decisive victory. The simulation must now shift to the only thing that has ever successfully stopped life itself: conceptual death. Tier Grade C. Stalemate. Section 4. The Silent End. SCP-2935. The simulation shifts one final time. The screaming metal and roaring lizard of the previous sector fade away. The Slayer stands before a simple, unadorned limestone cave entrance. There are no blast doors here. No warning signs, just a dark hole in the rock. This is SCP-2935, a designation known as O Death the Slayer steps through. On the other side, he's back in the Foundation facility, but the hum of electricity's gone. The air is stagnant. He walks to the nearest guard station. The guard is there, sitting in his chair, eyes open, perfectly preserved, but he is dead. There's no wound, no blood, no sign of struggle. The Slayer moves deeper. He finds SCP-682 in its containment vat. The unkillable reptile, the creature that fought him to a standstill moments ago, is lying belly up, a rotting husk of dead meat. In this reality, everything has died. Not killed, but ceased. This presents the ultimate problem for the Doomslayer. His entire existence, his physiology, and his combat loop are predicated on the presence of an enemy. The push-forward combat mechanic dictates that resources, health, ammo, armor, are ripped from the bodies of the fallen. He relies on the absorption of Argent energy to sustain his crusade. But in SCP-2935, the Argent waves are silent. There is no hell energy to harvest. There are no demons to chainsaw for ammunition. There is only absolute biological cessation. We must analyze the instant death mechanic. SCP-2935 is not a pathogen. It is a conceptual shift in reality where life is not permitted. If the Slayer is biological, even a demigod, he dies the moment he enters the cave. His heart stops without cause, just like the 682 of this dimension. But even if we assume his divinity grants him immunity to the instant kill effect, he effectively loses. He's trapped in a universe with zero resources. He cannot shoot his way out of entropy. He cannot punch silence. There's also the psychological factor. The Slayer fights to protect humanity and Earth. In SCP-2935, he's already failed. There is no one left to save. He's stranded in a dead world, wandering empty corridors forever. His weapon's useless because there are no targets. It is a quiet, absolute defeat. The Slayer cannot rip and tear if there's nothing left to tear. Tier Grade F. Defeat. The final verdict. The simulation concludes, and the results are terrifying. The Doomslayer represents a containment breach that cannot be fixed with reinforced concrete or MTF squads. He clears 99% of the Foundation's catalog, turning their worst kinetic nightmares into health packs and their dimensional prisons into minor inconveniences. He is an XK-class scenario wrapped in green armor. The data suggests that physical containment is impossible. Only absolute conceptual erasure, like SCP-2935, offers a stopping point, and even that requires sacrificing an entire dimension. The Foundation's best strategy isn't to contain him. It is to point him at the Scarlet King, open the gates, and get out of the way. If you want to see which other fictional powerhouses could survive the silent apocalypse of O Death, let us know in the comments. Subscribe for more simulations, and we'll see you in the next breach.